Well, the ongoing coronavirus pandemic is obviously changing our lives daily. And in one area, obviously seeing a big impact is the sports world continues evolving day by day on a case-by-case basis. Today, Bill Jones is joining me from the comfort of his home. I'm in the comfort of my home, practicing a good amount of social distancing as we should be. And Bill, today we're not keeping our distance from the sports world. I want to talk to you a little bit about the upcoming NFL draft. And that might look quite a bit different this year than in years past.
Yeah, in contrast, Katie, to especially the recent past where you have all the first round prospects and then some who go, in this case, it would have been Las Vegas and make it a big 3-day event for them where they actually they would have been going into Las Vegas a couple of days ahead of time for different events. It's all going to be done this way through the virtual reality means, and it should be interesting to see how it comes. But even in the draft rooms themselves in the NFL, because right now NFL teams personnel are not allowed in their headquarters. They will obviously will relax that rule coming up to April 23rd, but they're going to have to practice social distancing in their own draft rooms as well. Be 6 feet apart and no more than 10 people in the room. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. But the TV networks are covering it just like they normally would.
I'm curious, too, to see how well these teams are at communicating with each other when they have to do so from a distance. And one team, of course, I want to talk about specifically, the Dallas Cowboys. What kind of draft needs do they need this year? I mean, what is the draft going to look like for them, and who are they going to be going after? And I'm so curious to see what the communication has been like behind the scenes this year.
Well, it's been interesting in what the Cowboys typically try to do leading up to the draft every year is try to fill their needs, as many as they can in free agency, trying not to spend too much money. We saw a lot of movement, some going out the door, others coming in the door during free agency, so that when the draft comes around, they don't have to go for a specific position. But you look at what's happened so far in free agency with Byron Jones leaving to go to Miami with a huge contract. There's an obvious need at the cornerback position for the Cowboys. Robert Quinn got a huge contract with Chicago. They haven't filled that need yet as an edge rusher at defensive end. So those are the first 2 positions that come to mind. But otherwise, as far as their draft preparation goes, it's very interesting because normally, not only with the Cowboys, but every team around the league, you've got draft prospects that are traveling across the country, flying for interviews. Each team can bring in 30 draft prospects. And then a big key for the Cowboys in the past has been they have what they call as Dallas Day. Any player, a draft prospect who either is from the Dallas-Fort Worth area or went to school at SMU, TCU, North Texas in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they would all come for one day there. They didn't have that this year. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens now this year with this draft.
There are obviously so many changes taking place worldwide right now, and in the sports world, no different. Do you think that those changes will impact the NFL season? I guess, are you expecting the NFL season to look any different this year?
I think we all hope that the NFL season isn't affected by it, since it is now, 6 months out or whatever. But there's been a lot of talk about it. I think they have to prepare as if it might be shortened, and it's affecting teams right now. In fact, the Cowboys were supposed to, since they have a new coach this year, Mike McCarthy, they were able to start their off-season program on April 6th. Well, that's now been put on hold, and most NFL teams, I think it's pretty unlikely that teams will get together at all in an official capacity over the course of the next 2 to 3 months prior to training camp. Training camp for the Cowboys would start on July 22nd or so, since they're playing in the Hall of Fame game, which is in early August. And so that's the time frame that you're looking at now. But they have to have at least a month to prepare for the season if it did stretch that far down the road. So I think 1st of August is where you're looking at the decisions will have to be made if some of this is still ongoing. There could be games played without fans in the stands. Obviously, they don't want that to happen, but it may come down to that.
Bill, very interesting point, because I do wonder how much FaceTime a lot of these players have had with Mike McCarthy being such a new coach, and maybe just not a lot of time to prepare for this season with the new leadership.
In fact, before April 6th, it is against the NFL rules for the coaches to have any contact with the players. They can't give out their playbook or anything. Now, I assume at April 6th date, they can at least do that. And the NFL owners had a meeting this week where they have laid down some of the groundwork in some of the things that they can do as far as coaching from a virtual standpoint. And a lot of that is going to be going on. They're going to be on Zoom quite a bit. If these players haven't already discovered Zoom, they're about to discover it real quick.
All right, Bill, thank you so much for joining me today. You can read all about the upcoming draft on the CBS DFW website. For CBS 11, I'm Katie Johnston.